The Defense Department is reviewing more than 500 books available to students in DoD-run K-12 schools to see if they conform with President Trump's efforts to remove all traces of diversity, equity, and inclusion from the federal government. One of the books in question was written by President John F. Kennedy. Our Eleanor Watson has been working on this story. She joins me now at the family table, along with Tin and Olivia Rinaldi, all of whom have original reporting to share, and I'm delighted to say that. Eleanor, let's start with you. Walk us through this effort to scrub the lists of books in these DoD-run K-12 libraries and the implications thereof.
So the Defense Department education system for K-12 started in February reviewing books in its school libraries to comply with the president's executive orders to root out DEI from the military and from K-12 education. That review started then. The ACLU has challenged that review, saying that removing any books is a First Amendment issue. The review is ongoing, but we should note that they removed the books using keywords from those executive orders, just like the Naval Academy did. And the Naval Academy initially removed nearly 400 books and reinstated nearly all of them after guidance was made clear, proving that some of these anti-DEI policies have not been outlined with specificity during this purge of DEI.
And really quickly, Eleanor, how many schools, how many students within this DoD system?
161 schools around the world and about 900,000 military-connected students.
Wow, that's great. Alex, you have new reporting on mifepristone.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the people will remember that conservatives and abortion opponents have long been calling on the FDA to change, restrict, or remove the approval altogether of mifepristone. That's the abortion drug that is widely prescribed, not just for abortion, for managing miscarriages as well. The FDA has long said it's safe and effective, but we've heard calls specifically from Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley for the FDA to essentially review the safety of mifepristone again and potentially restrict it or pull it from the market altogether. Secretary Kennedy, head of Health and Human Services, committed to telling the FDA to do that. And now Hawley says he's received a letter from the FDA saying that they indeed are doing the review, but we don't know exactly the details of what is in that review or what it will entail.
And how far back does the research on mifepristone go?
Yeah, I mean, look, mifepristone has been widely used, safe and effective, for decades in the United States. But it's important to be clear, too, one of the big criticisms that people like Hawley have with how the FDA has regulated mifepristone is because it's rolled back some of the restrictions that were initially imposed on the medication when it was first brought to the market. It depends on who you talk to and whether those rollbacks were justified. But of course, to be clear, the review they're doing now is not just about those restrictions. It's about the drug's safety and efficacy in general. We'll see what comes of that.
Olivia, you also have new reporting about FEMA and hurricane season.
I do, but first, I was told there was always going to be food at this table.
You know, there's not food today. I'm sorry, you'll just have to eke by. You'll just have to hold yourself
in the makeup
together.
Room will do it.
I don't have the food today. You know, I can't run the delivery service every single day here at the Takeout, Olivia.
We'll just bring in the Starburst.
But you caught me. The audience now knows for sure.
I'm sorry.
I'm
I had to call you
forever.
out on it. In all seriousness, though, yes, new reporting from the White House on FEMA specifically. They say that FEMA is operating in an echo chamber that is separate from where the White House is. So all of this has really started because there was a CNN report today that President Trump had approved funding, disaster funding for Virginia, and FEMA was unaware of it. So it's kind of a question of process here, a little government process. Who gets notified first, right? Typically, these states make that disaster relief known that they need it. They then tell the government, they tell the White House, who then approves it and then usually tells FEMA. Then they figure out how to appropriate the funds. But of course, we're in this era of cutting down government. FEMA
and dramatically shrinking the size of FEMA.
FEMA has been a target, certainly, of this White House of trying to shrink them. So it's kind of this question of chicken and egg, right? Talking about food. But what happened first, right? Whether FEMA was ineffective or whether the White House is making them ineffective because they're trying to cut them out of the process. In any case, the people who are suffering in all of this or who might be suffering, especially in hurricane season, will be people in states that need that disaster relief funding. Our Nicole Skanga had reporting that Florida their emergency director has not even had a conversation with the new FEMA acting advisor. And we're now in hurricane season. And if you're in Florida, you know that's serious. So their state is literally standing up their own assistance program because they're worried they're not going to get that funding from the government approved.
That's fascinating. And Alex, you have new reporting also about seed oils, baby formula.
Yeah, that's right. You know, FDA Commissioner Marty Makary, he has people. It's no secret that there are no fans of seed oils in the new administration under Secretary Kennedy.
And what is a seed oil?
Seed oil, it's a soybean oil, it's a safflower oil, it's the typical cooking oils that people are familiar with, but there's more advanced versions that are used in infant formula.
Got it.
The reason that matters is because there was a meeting today hosted by the FDA that is supposed to begin this process that they're saying of reviewing the new standards that they want to create for what should be put in infant formula in the United States. There is a lot of legitimate controversy around the ingredients that are used in infant formula, but when you talk to experts in this field, including some of the experts that were on this panel that the FDA convened, there is a lot of frustration that there's so much focus on seed oils when they think there are so many other things about the way that infant formula is regulated in the United States that should be updated. One big frustration that we heard time and time again, though, not just from the commissioner, but also from the experts they brought in, there's a lot of people who like how infant formula is regulated in Europe and wish those standards also applied here in the United States.
And Eleanor, we talked about this on the show yesterday, but add a little bit more context to the Navy review of named vessels, especially those, maybe entirely those, that it's reviewing for civil rights icons in our country.
That's right. That's part of Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth's war on DEI. His first day at the Pentagon, he vowed to rid the Pentagon of DEI, and one of his first actions was canceling cultural awareness months like Black History Month and Pride Month. And now that we're in Pride Month, he has directed the Navy to rename the Harvey Milk, the gay rights icon, one of the first openly elected officials who served in government and a Navy veteran. We've also learned the Navy is reviewing whether or not to name other ships named after civil rights icons like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Harriet Tubman, and Thurgood Marshall. The Defense Department has confirmed they are reviewing these names to align with what the Trump administration values as warrior ethos.
Eleanor Watson, Alex Tin, Olivia Rinaldi, thank you so much. And Olivia, I'll have food next time. I really promise. I promise. I promise I'll have food. Don't look at me that way. Stop looking at me that way.